There's a point in your late 50s where the question you need to ask yourself changes from how can I save more to what am I giving up to keep saving? And these are very different questions because once you reach your late 50s, every additional year of work can feel responsible on paper, but the hidden cost is that you may be spending years you can never replace to accumulate money you may never actually need. So in today's video, I want to help you think through a decision that a lot of people struggle with, whether continuing to work past 58 is actually improving your retirement or quietly taking away from it. But first, my name is Justin Haywood. I'm a certified financial planner, and I've helped hundreds of people retire with confidence, and I want to help you do the same. Now, I've sat across from people who had more than enough to retire, but they still felt stuck. Not because the math didn't work or because they were reckless, but because after 30 or more years of saving, it felt almost wrong to start using their money. They had spent their entire adult lives building their pile, and the idea of drawing from it felt like damaging something that they were supposed to protect. But your retirement savings were never meant to be a trophy. They're meant to be a tool. And at some point, the question becomes not, can I make the number bigger, but has the number already done its job? And that's where 58 becomes an important checkpoint. Not because 58 is some magic number, it's not. Some people do need to work longer, but for many people, the late 50s are when the trade-off starts to change. I was recently talking with a prospect who was in this exact spot. He had done well, he had saved consistently, his portfolio had grown obviously very significantly over the past decade or so, and his lifestyle wasn't extravagant. And when I looked at his situation, it was clear that he could retire pretty comfortably, but emotionally he just couldn't get there. He said, "Justin, I know the plan says this all works, but I just hate the idea of seeing the account balance start going down." And I understood what he meant. For decades, success to him meant watching his balances grow. Every contribution, every market gain, every year of disciplined saving reinforced the idea that up was good and down was bad. But retirement flips that script. In retirement, the goal isn't just to keep scoring points forever. The goal is to use the points that you've already scored to support the life that you've been planning for. And it sounds obvious, but emotionally it's pretty hard because nobody teaches you how to go from saver to spender. And if you don't make that transition intentionally, you may keep working just by default. But there's a risk in working longer than necessary, and it's not always financial. The last thing you want to do is spend your best, your healthiest years sitting in another conference call when you could be out living your retirement dreams. A trip to Europe at 58 isn't the same as a trip to Europe at 75. Taking the grandkids to the beach at 60 isn't the same as trying to do it when your knees hurt, your stamina's lower, and travel feels more like work than fun. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that life ends at 70 or 75, but youth is fleeting, and every day that passes is a day that you won't get back. You're more likely in early retirement to want to explore, to say yes more often, and to finally have room in your calendar. And then there are later years when life naturally gets smaller. And the mistake is assuming that all retirement years are equal because they aren't. A year of freedom in your late 50s or early 60s may be worth far more than a year of freedom later on in life. And that's the part that spreadsheets just don't capture. A retirement projection can show income, taxes, withdrawals, and inflation, but it can't measure what it costs to miss your best years just working. And that's why I often tell people, don't just ask whether you can afford to retire. Ask what it costs not to retire. Now, some people hear this and they immediately think, Justin, what about the market? What about inflation? What about interest rates? What about the election? What about everything going on in the world? And these are all valid concerns. There's always something to worry about. I've never seen a retirement year where everything looked perfect. There's always a headline or some expert that's warning that this is the worst possible time to retire. There's always going to be uncertainty. But if your retirement depends on waiting for the world to calm down, you may never retire. A good retirement plan isn't built on perfect conditions. It's built to survive imperfect conditions. And trying to time your retirement around current economic climates or anything like that is usually going to be a losing game. I've seen people delay retirement because the market was down or because the market was up and they wanted to capture a little more growth. I've seen people delay because interest rates changed or because inflation was too high. And at some point, it becomes pretty clear that the issue isn't the economy. It's a lack of confidence that everything will be okay, regardless of what happens in the world. And when you don't have a plan that you truly trust, every headline feels like a reason just to keep working. And this fear is one of the biggest reasons people keep working long after they're financially ready to stop. Another big fear I see that keeps people working longer than they need to is fear of losing their identity. Even when you want to retire, there can be a little voice inside saying, who am I when I'm not doing this anymore? What are my days going to look like? Because work isn't just a paycheck. It provides structure, your daily routine, it gives social interaction, and a sense of usefulness. And if you retire without thinking about what's going to replace those things, you really can feel a little lost. And that's why retirement planning isn't only about investments. Obviously, the financial side matters a lot, but the personal side matters just as much. What are your weeks going to look like? Who are you going to spend your time with? What's going to get you out of the house every day? These questions are pivotal to a good retirement, because if you don't answer them in advance, work can become the default solution. You just keep working, not because it's the best use of your time, but because it avoids the discomfort of figuring out what comes next. But you can build a new routine. You can stay connected. You can volunteer, consult, travel more, help with the grandkids. You can get healthier, spend more time with your spouse, or just simply slow down without feeling guilty. The happiest retirees that I've seen usually aren't doing nothing. I hear all the time from new retirees that they're so busy now, they don't know how they ever had time to work. The only thing that they regret is that they didn't retire sooner. Now, let's talk about the financial side of this, because this is where a lot of people get stuck as well. You know your account balance, you know roughly what you spend every month, how your investments are performing, but what I've seen is that many people don't know how everything fits together. A real retirement analysis answers more than just, do I have enough? It should show how much income your assets can reasonably support, what sequence of accounts you're going to draw from, how taxes are going to change across your retirement, what happens if the market underperforms or overperforms, how healthcare will be handled before Medicare, when Social Security makes sense to begin drawing, and what trade-offs exist if you retire now versus later. And that last part's important. You should be able to compare the pros and cons of working longer and of retiring sooner. For example, what does one more year of work actually buy you? Does it materially improve your financial outlook, or is it just going to make an already healthy plan look slightly more comfortable? Sometimes working one more year is smart, but sometimes it's just procrastination dressed up as prudence. And you need to know which one it is. Now, I'm not saying that everyone should retire at 58. The point is that around this stage of life, you should stop operating on autopilot. So if you're in your late 50s or early 60s and you're wondering whether it's time, here's what I would encourage you to do. Ask yourself first, what am I actually getting in exchange for an extra year working? If the answer is meaningful security, then working longer does make sense. But if the answer is simply a larger account balance that you're unlikely to ever spend, then it may be time to start thinking seriously about retirement. Because the goal isn't just to retire with the biggest account balance possible. It's to retire with enough money, confidence, and enough healthy years to enjoy the life that your money was built to support. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. It also helps other people that are in a similar situation find their way to our content as well. And if you've watched this video and you're thinking now, I need to run these numbers for myself and I don't have an advisor that's talking to me about these things, that's exactly what we do in our firm. We'll talk one-on-one with you and look at your specific situation, help you map out exactly what your retirement can look like, and we can project your retirement income, optimize for tax minimization, and mitigate against any risks that we uncover in our analysis. So if you want to talk, click the link in the description and you can schedule a call with our firm. And before you go, if you want to keep learning, you can watch this video next. I think you'll enjoy it.